Welcome back to Make Writing Visible. Today we're talking about playing with holiday poetry. As I record this, it is mid-December, and there are so many holidays at this time of year. There is Kwanzaa and Hanukkah, the winter solstice, Christmas Eve, Christmas Day, New Year's Eve, New Year's Day. So many holidays, but you're not limited to holidays at this time of year. You could choose holidays from any time of year. You could do Halloween or Valentine's Day or Thanksgiving. I even heard of a classroom teacher recently who had his students make up their own holidays and write about those, such as Silly Sock Day or Puppy Day or Beach Day, where it's the law that no one can go to school or to work and we all have to spend the day on the beach. I would like that. To play with holiday poetry, I want you to think of 3 steps that you could do, and I will share with you each of those 3 steps. You don't have to worry about memorizing them. I actually have a handout with this blog where I have a multi-page handout that talks you through step by step. If you want to play with holiday poetry, what I suggest for step number 1 is that you read poems by other people. So read some holiday poetry. What you need to do is you need to see how other people write their poetry and just enjoy it. I'd like to share a holiday poem with you. It's called Holiday Hoopla, and it is not about one holiday, but it's a poem about holidays in general. So you just need to relax and listen to the poem. Holiday Hoopla, holiday hoopla, a Rudy toot toopla. Hooray, a day, a holiday, a special, splendid sparkle day. Oh, please don't ever end day. Spend it in a special way. A brouhaha, a la-di-da, a hullabaloo for me and you that comes just once a year, so enjoy it while it's here. I hope you enjoyed Holiday Hoopla. Enjoy holiday poetry, step 1. Step 2, then choose a holiday poem that someone else has written, and I want you to go back over that poem and look at it closely and analyze it and see what kind of wordplay, any poetic tricks that the author used. So for Holiday Hoopla, I've taken it, and in the handout that goes with this blog, you will see that I use track changes where I made actually comments about some of the lines in the poem and the tricks that I used. So you could do that. You could type up a poem that you've read and then make comments on the track changes, but you don't have to do it that way. You could actually have a copy of a poem and then you could make comments using colored pencils or colored pens and make the comments right on the poem. Let me show you what I mean. For Holiday Hoopla, if I look at the second line, Rudy Toot Toopla, one thing that I did for a trick in there was Rudy Toot, Rudy Toot. It's supposed to sound like a horn blaring and announcing that it's a special day, it's a holiday. So that's one poetic trick. Another poetic or wordplay trick that I did is I made up the word tupla. And tupla rhymes with hoopla. It's not a real word, but it works because it was holiday hoopla, Rudy toot tupla. I could have made up a different word like burgaz, but Rudy toot burgaz would not work. I needed something that rhymed with hoopla. So that was a different trick that I used. And a third trick, even in this one simple line, you will notice I had a bunch of oohs. Rudy toot toopla. I used ooh, ooh, ooh. I repeated the same vowel sound over and over again. That's called assonance. We've talked about that before when we talked about ear candy in another blog. But that's a poetic trick that I use. So I use 3 different wordplay or poetic tricks just in that one line. So step 2, look at a holiday poem, look at it up close, and start analyzing it and looking and see what kind of wordplay tricks, poetic devices the author used. Then the third step is for you to write your own holiday poem. But don't worry about writing a finished, polished piece. Just try to play with some words, gather some words, and see what you come up with. It takes the pressure off you. For example, if I wanted to write about New Year's Eve, what I would do is, first of all, think about how I spend my New Year's Eve. What special things do I do? And then I can gather some of those words so it gives me a starting point. Well, for New Year's Eve, my family plays cards, so I might talk about card playing. Another thing that we do on New Year's Eve besides playing card games is we eat a lot of junk food because we all say we're going to be good in the new year and go on a diet, but we eat all the junk food we can on New Year's Eve. So I might put in fudge nibbling, and I might say chip crunching. So New Year's Eve, card playing, fudge nibbling, chip crunching, Eve. I think I put the word Eve there because I like how that reflects on the New Year's Eve. But maybe I don't want to do it that way. Maybe I would get rid of nibbling and I would change that to munching. Card playing, fudge munching, chip crunching Eve. That way I rhymed the munching and the crunching, and that sounds good to the ear, so I might want to do it that way. Or maybe I'd try a whole new thing for the fudge. The fudge, it's homemade fudge that my mom makes, and so I might want to give that its own special line and say, oh, I've got to write it with a lot of O's. Smooth, melt in mouth, homemade, I'll say PB for peanut butter, fudge. So that line, smooth, melt in mouth, homemade peanut butter fudge. It's kind of a long line, so I might not want to use it in my poem, but I do like the way that it sounds, that makes the fudge sound so delicious, and it is delicious. So I do like that fact about that line. I could also make sure that I include the part about watching TV at midnight, so we know when it's officially midnight. So I might write something like 11:58 panic, to give the idea that it's close to midnight and we're panicked because, oh my goodness, we've got to turn the TV on time. We were so busy playing cards, we might miss New Year's. And maybe I could say time for Times Square ball dropping Eve. Did a couple things. I like the time for Times Square because I used repetition, and repetition is a tool that you can use when you write poetry. And Times Square is in New York City where there's such a big celebration. The other thing I did is I used the word Eve again, ball dropping Eve, and I had said chip crunching Eve. So that's a case using repetition also that I liked. You get the idea. 3 steps. Enjoy holiday poetry. Analyze a couple of holiday poems. I have some in the handout for you to do. And third of all, try playing with some of your own holiday poetry and having fun with it. Thanks for joining me on Make Writing Visible.